You're listening to the Life in General podcast with Tom and Jaye. An hour of informative commentary on today's headlines, current events, and what's going on around the world and around the corner. And now, here are your hosts, Tom and Jaye Darden.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Life in General podcast here with Tom and Jaye, coming at you with episode 74. That title, Be Thankful. Sign off. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to start this episode off the same way we do every time and ask the man of the hour how he is down in sunny Ecuador. Figure out if they actually do celebrate that same kind of holiday down there. Recently learned that some folks who we are possibly outsourcing some things to in our business, I believe they're over in India, and they said, yeah, they're going to take the day off and we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving. And I am thinking to myself, hey, that's not the point of outsourcing, right? It's so you all work while we take the days off, you know? That's kind of how it is, you know? It's like, hey, you don't get no days off, right? Like, it was kind of interesting. But so how are you down there in Ecuador, you know?
Yeah, Ecuador. The sun came out this morning about 7:15, man, and I'm telling you, it started cooking. In about the last 6 days, it's come out every day. It stayed all day, so we might be back to the good times, and the sun be out every day, and us be jamming.
I mean, good to some, unbearable to others. But hey, you know, to each their own. So
that's right.
I don't live down there, so you enjoy the sun.
Yeah, you can get it in small doses. If you watch yourself, get it in small doses. Don't try to get it all in one day because you'll explode.
Yeah, I mean, it'll just literally tear you up. Like someone as fair skinned to myself, I'll be literally as red as this shirt, like I was the first time going down there. But yeah, that's kind of wild. And we, I mean, kind of off rip to our topic or first topic of today's discussion. We say be thankful. Well, of course, we have the Thanksgiving holiday, which some of you may be watching this on that holiday, which thanks very much for watching when the episodes first come out. Yeah, like comment, subscribe,
comment, subscribe. Yeah,
tickle the bell, ring a ding ding and all that. So Thanksgiving is, in November. It was something that started a hot minute ago, and we kind of, several of us kind of know its origins and also know its a little more horrific origins and whatnot, and kind of the atrocities that happened with these people. But of course, it's become very industrialized and modernized and Americanized, and then we just utilize it as a day for family. Football, not football, football, or it could be football if you're watching the World Cup right now. Go whomever your team is. And of course, that's in Qatar, which you can't do anything in Qatar and don't do anything wrong because your ass will end up in religion jail, and that is a black hole from what I hear. So just you be careful if you head over there to watch any World Cup stuff. But
I tried to find Qatar on the map, or Qatar on the map, and I couldn't find it. And I thought it was a country, but it's not. It's a city in India.
Okay, yeah.
Like Dubai.
Yeah.
Yeah, and somebody had said, no, man, it's a city. It's not a country. It's a city.
Right.
And I was like, okay, cool. No wonder I couldn't find it.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're going to hold a World Cup, in a country, but most likely it's going to be in a specific city. And that's a pretty unique endeavor that that has to happen in order for that to go down in your city, right? They'll start building a stadium like 8 years before the World Cup actually goes there. Like right when it gets announced, they'll build a brand new stadium and go bananas and stuff. And people are dying. Forced labor is possibly happening. It's a shit show really all around. So, but yeah,
Ecuador won their first match.
Hey,
against Qatar.
There you go.
The host.
Hey, ole, 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 ole.
Yeah,
right?
2-0.
Wow. Hey.
I don't know anything about soccer. All I know is you cheer when the ball goes in the basket.
There you go.
Or in the net.
The goal.
The goal or whatever. Right. Yeah. Other than offsides or penalty kicks or tripping or whatever else they do, I have no idea. But
yellow, red cards, taking dives, clock manipulation. It's some silliness.
It was interesting because I had several questions I had to ask some people that knew much more about it than I did. The clock never stops.
Right.
I didn't know that. And they hit the 90-minute mark. Now, I did read up where they have 2 45-minute halves.
Right.
And then there's a 15-minute intermission.
Mm-hmm.
So the 90-minute clock ran out, but then this little icon pops up, says additional time.
Yeah, you have more time.
And they put
right.
5 more minutes on it. And I'm like, man, you're giving these guys 5 more minutes to score. What's the deal? The 90 minutes is up. Well, they're clocking injuries, and they're clocking out of bounds. Or they're clocking not transfers, but what do you call them?
Substitutions.
Yeah, they're clocking all that.
Right.
The clock stays running, and they time that, and they put that back on at the end. And I'm like, because they added time 3 different times, and I'm thinking, you're just determined not to let Ecuador win this match.
That kind of feels like it. I forget who it was, but they were talking. One of my coworkers was talking about a ref who was just freaking terrible. Because, I mean, you think that certain things are corrupt, but it just seems like soccer is just a nest of vipers and villainy, right? Because it just seems so politically done, and it just seems like, I mean, now granted, biggest sport in the world, everybody can play, like every country has this sport, something that is, loved by all, but it's something that just, I don't know, maybe it's just from an outsider looking in, or maybe not being as fanatical with it to look past that sort of a thing. But it just seems wild to me. And it very much feels, to your point, where they're going to do whatever they can in their power to make sure the teams they don't want to win aren't going to. So it's kind of unique. But
the Sheiks didn't look very happy. The crown prince and the prince and all, whatever they call all those guys, the Sheiks or the whatever with the turbans on and stuff, they didn't look very excited. So, the Sheiks.
Ah, okay. Well, I bet they didn't look happy. I mean, they someone came into their house and whooped their ass. So, I wouldn't be very thrilled either. Especially if my multi-billion-dollar team in this stadium I just set up, I'm kicked out immediately. Now, granted, I can watch the whole thing because I'm the prince of this land, but I'm not going to be happy if my boys go out like that. So,
well, Ecuador had, to me, and I'm in awe of anybody that can run around on a field for an hour and a half nonstop. Yeah, that's just incredible to me that somebody can do that. And I was like, wow, this is incredible that these guys can run around like that.
Oh yeah.
But I'm in awe. But I pulled for I had my soccer shirt on.
Nice.
My yellow soccer shirt, and pulled for them. Didn't know what I was pulling for, but pulling somebody's leg, I guess.
Well, also, burging, like we talked about before, basking in related glory, is something that, it feels really good. And then if they don't win, then you can just distance yourself from it immediately and say, whatever, that's not my team, or I don't know anything about this, so you don't really feel downtrodden about it. But enjoying the parts that feel good and where you're winning and stuff, that's great. Like, that's amazing. So, so really good stuff there. But
they don't celebrate Thanksgiving down here.
Okay, there you go.
As a per se holiday, but the lady next door has put together a Friendsgiving dinner, and from my understanding is she's invited every Canadian and every Alaskan and every American, and people from all over are coming.
Well,
Ecuador, people from all over. She's got like 35 people coming.
Oh my.
So, so that's going to be overwhelming.
That'll be a lot of people,
Yeah. I figured that I would slip about 4:30 or so. I'd slip out and say, I got to take grandma a plate next door for her dinner.
Oh, okay.
And then I could turn on the Cowboys game. Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm not an NFL guy, but to sit over there with 30 people and they're drinking and eating and hooping and hollering, I can sit at home, and I'm not a big crowd fan. So,
no, nothing wrong with that.
There you go. So they don't, not a big holiday down here.
Well, that's fair. And I mean, and it's something too where you were talking about eating and drinking and getting together and stuff like that. But, why don't we do holidays anymore? I mean, what are folks getting out of that? Is it the family and friends and all of this? Is it just a time that we have to come together? Is it the excuse that we say, well, we'll get together at this time, right? Like, a good example is, if you're seeing family and stuff like that, and then you got to think, oh, well, man, like I don't ever see them. And then to kind of get yourself off the hook a little bit, and I'm speaking in the broad yourself, right? It's like, well, we're going to see him during the holidays. Okay. So that means you don't have to go see him at any other time, and it's they're just kind of in the back of your mind, and then you can just say, well, I'm going to, we'll see you then. Like, okay, cool. Because there are so many people nowadays, and maybe it's millennials more, or maybe it's younger crowds, who knows, but there's definitely something about it that people kind of dread the holidays a little bit, and it could be that they don't like who they're going to go see, but they feel obligated. It could be that there's some issue with that time of the year, right? Like tragedy could have struck, and it's just something that was like, oh, great, we have to relive this, right? I mean, and it seems like a big hassle. I mean, if you really look at it, you got to go, you got to put the show on, you got to smile, you got to go and do the thing, and hope to not get a DUI going from one house to another, because the only way you can stand it is to consume large quantities of arboreal libation, and it's kind of wild. Like,
I don't think my generation set a very good example for your generation.
For
holidays.
Well, why do you say that?
Well, I mean, one thing about your generation is, you're not going to go to, well, I got to be at Uncle Bob's at 2:00. I got to be at Aunt Paula's at 4:00. I got to be at Mom's at 6:00. I got to be, you know what I mean? People are expecting, they fill up your day instead of being able to just go one place and everybody converge to the one place.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with my generation didn't set that precedence and let's say, okay, we're going to have one person the center and everybody's going to come there. And it doesn't matter if you're coming from Kentucky or if you're coming from Indiana or you're coming from, but you're going to make the trip and you're going to,
Well, and that's like the people next door, the folks across the street from us. They have, of course, more cars at their place, and I think they're doing more to what you're saying is, I mean, there's a camper out in their yard. There's, I mean, it looks like a Christmas vacation, right? Where you got the RV and all that stuff, and way too many cars, and people are going to be together for most likely an extended period of time. I mean, they brought the camper; they are planning on staying somewhere, and I agree with that, and it's something where now, I mean, that's what everybody does, like around me, is it's like, all right, got to go here. Cool. Spend 3 hours there. Okay. Hey, I got to go. It was great seeing you. Bye.
Right.
Hey, like, thanks for the food. Enjoy cleaning up. Like, fuck you. And then, you go to the next place and same deal. And then it's just taxing, right? Like both mentally and physically and whatnot. And now, granted, I mean, of course, it's great. Like it is good to see people and good to, shoot the shit and see how people are doing and all that stuff. But it's just.
Do you really care how they're doing?
I genuinely want to know if the people that I care about are doing well or not well.
Okay.
I mean,
I just wondered.
Now, to that end, much like we discussed about excuses or things of that ilk, like there is a difference in saying, okay, well, do you really care about how they're doing? Well, genuinely, yes, when the opportunity comes up. But am I going out of my way to ask about these folks? No, I'm not. So it's a scenario if somebody wanted to say, do you really? Well, I would say, well, hey, you got me, but it's like, okay, I mean, interestingly enough, a lot of people to keep up with, and it's something I was talking to a few months ago was, is it bad to try and come up with like a calling schedule, or a calendar sort of a deal where it's like, all right, check in on Johnny, check in on Brian, check in on Ryan, check in on Ruben, and like just have it. And the person I was talking to, it said, well, Does it sound like it's a bad thing that you go out of your way to set something up like that because it means that you do care versus not just being able to think about it off the cuff and just do it? And so that was a like really good affirmation. But it's something where like if you're not structured about it, I mean you're just going to get busy or not think about it and then just roll on. So you gotta really go out of your way to keep that stuff going and put a lot of effort into it. I mean it's not easy, I'll say. So
Right. And nowadays, when you're at somebody's house, everybody's on their phone. So they're not paying attention anyway. They're not going to sit around and talk about the good old days and stuff like that, or talk about what's going on with each other's lives. They're going to have their phone in their hand, and they're going to be on their phone because they can't put them down.
yeah.
So, it's like, why go, man? Why go? So,
Well, and I think that's kind of one of the reasons we brought this up a little bit. Now, the phone thing, like, I think, yes, there are several folks who will be on their phones a lot. But then again, it just kind of depends on who's running the conversation. Because if you're engaging and you have interesting things to say, people will put their phone down. But if you don't have interesting things to say and you're not engaging or possibly entertaining, why am I going to listen to you?
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
It's definitely a scenario where there is a price to admission for people's attention. All right. I mean, we've seen it on this podcast. Like there will be certain episodes that have 80 plus views and then there are up to 100 and then there are some that have like 15. And so the price for admission or the price for folks' attention is pretty steep. And it's something where, hey, if you all are watching, that's amazing and we love you all. But if you're not, like, it's not like we're mad at you. And even if it was, well, like, you're on your phone, well, why don't you just hit that play button and have our stuff playing in the background? Well, hey, maybe you guys listen to something else, which I ain't mad at you. Like, you got another podcast going on Apple Podcast or something you got on Audible. Like, I'm all about it. So it's something where I'm not going to fault folks for being on their phone, for one, because we've been trained to do that by our proverbial overlords. And two, I mean, that's just a bodily function at this point in time. Your limbic system is training you like as a reward system to say, like a little ding or a little feedback is good. And so you're going to be in that cycle for eternity, basically.
So how about the guy that drove through the front of the TikTok store, right through he crashed through the front window of the not TikTok store, the Apple store.
Where was that at?
One of the cities, I forget what city it was, but a guy drove right through the front of the Apple store window. Yeah, crashed in there, and I don't know if anybody died, but maybe they didn't give him a good price on his phone or something. I don't know.
Holy smokes, man.
Yeah. And then the manager that gunned down 6 people at the Walmart in Chesapeake, Virginia. Yeah, he's a manager of a Walmart. He's been on the job for 2 months.
Oh my.
And he came in and, opened fire and killed 6 people, and then he turned the gun and killed himself.
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't.
That's a rough one.
The other one I didn't understand was in the gay nightclub in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Yeah,
they subdued the shooter. Okay, he's already killed like 10 people and wounded 25, and you've got him down on the ground and you've got his gun away from him. Why don't you just shoot him? I'm sorry, officer. We were wrestling over the gun and it went off and he died. Sorry. I don't understand why.
Because that's not how our justice system works.
Well, the guy that subdued him was a military vet, and they interviewed him, and he said, I switched to war mode. And I said, I got to kill this guy before he kills me.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm in your corner, man. I've got pom-poms out and everything. Why didn't you kill him when you had the chance? That's the part I don't understand is why did they let these people live? And in 2 years from now, they'll be having a trial for this guy and they'll give him life in prison and he'll get, 3 meals and dental care and health care and all that the rest of his life. I don't get it.
Well, I would say a couple of reasons. One, they're not going to immediately just kill someone because that's the escalation of that will come to just like what Robin Harrison or whomever used to be like, like run a stoplight, die, or
Yeah.
jaywalk, die, that sort of a
Well,
thing.
I was wrestling with him over the gun, and it went off. They don't have to know that you just shot the guy point blank in the back of the head.
Well, also
I just-
too, it hurts the soul to end someone's being. I mean, to end someone's existence. I would think.
It didn't hurt his soul to kill the 12 or 14 people that he shot.
You don't
apparently.
know that. You don't know that.
Well, you're right.
The internal anguish that person may or may not live with forever could be something that's very taxing. And it's something where, like, did this person do something horrific? 100%. Does he deserve to perish? He might. I don't know. But that's just, one, not how our justice system works, if you would call it that nowadays.
We don't have a justice system anymore.
Well, you live in Ecuador, so it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah, they've got a curfew down here that I told you about from 11 to 5, and your ass ain't out on the street at after 11 o'clock at night. They don't tolerate that stuff.
What would you
man.
What would you need to be doing out there at 11 o'clock at night, anyways?
Right. From 11 to 5, nobody's on the streets, and they don't tolerate it. They don't.
It's good.
And they let stuff go in the United States, man. They just let shit go. I don't get it, but.
Well, for
I could see back to the point. I could see holidays starting to fade away as America goes along, and we'll see how Christmas turns out.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Because this will be the first COVID-free Christmas if they don't screw that up before the day gets here. They're trying to screw that up too.
How are they trying to screw that up now?
Well, there's another variant coming through, and you need to get more shots, and you need to lock down, and crazy.
Yeah, I don't know about that anymore, but it'll be interesting to see, like with Christmas and stuff like that, to see what the like consumer spending is, what people are going to do, what their folks' plans are, because you were talking about it as well. Before we started, the skyrocketing prices of travel and the people who are traveling, and it costs people an arm and a leg, and it's I mean that's something else, and it almost works like, or it looks like it's working like somebody who hasn't had something for a long time, and then so finally when you can sell it to them again, it's like, you want this, right? I bet you do.
Oh,
yeah. Now you can have it at like a 50% markup, and people you'll buy it, right? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's now granted, I understand like things are just going to basically get more and more expensive forever, because that's just kind of how we've been instructed that inflation works. Like that's kind of how it looks, and it's something where it's more all the time. And why in the world would you ever go backwards with something like that? So.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's kind of wild. But yeah, you were talking about something where it looked like they might try to ban TikTok, which I know for some of our viewers may have them, pulling their hair out and screaming. It's something that has some, fun little interesting videos on it and stuff. I have it and I'm logged in, but I don't get on it very much. Interestingly enough, to me at least, my buddy got all of his Ukraine news from TikTok, and I'm thinking to myself, dude, you want to be taken seriously, and you got all of your updates about Ukraine and NATO and the Russia situation from TikTok. Understand, it is very hard to take you seriously when it's like Orange Man bad, TikTok is telling me this, and it's like, bro, no. Love you to death, do anything for you. But listening to you while you cite your source as TikTok, even if the person says, I'm a ex-NATO strategist or whatever, I'm like, yep, and that person is supposed to be on TikTok. Like that there you go. So, but yeah.
They say it's a security breach. It's run by the Communist China Party, and it's a security breach.
Yeah. Well, is it a security
information? They got all your information.
But they could have that though already. They could already have that, so that doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, I don't mess with it, so I'm not going to worry about it.
But they already have your information too.
Well, I'm sure they do. They said the DOJ said to delete the TikTok app and get a new phone.
Wonderful.
because of all the algorithms that they've already picked up on your phone and all the stuff that they're tracking that you're doing. So
Yeah, but the next phone's going to do the same thing. So,
okay.
I mean, because
so none of us are safe, right?
No, but that's the point. Like, but we know it, and we're complacent in it, and we don't really care. Because if we were, we would be doing a lot more to quote unquote be safe. But also, it's very difficult as well to determine what is the actual threat, right? Because there'll be little things that'll happen, little tiny movements that will be what occurs versus like some kind of actual major threat. Like you kind of had the scare of Russia and Poland and NATO and stuff last week or a couple weeks ago, and that is something that'll get you thinking, right? But it's like, John's got all your data, and I'm like, yeah, but so do you, like American government, and you just don't want another party to have that sort of a thing. Like, are they going to like kill the market share for your info, like, or for what you have on us versus what someone else does? I mean, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, or at least the fear behind it, right? Like, it doesn't make too much sense in terms of like, oh no, they have this. I'm thinking to myself, well, that's not like, sure, give me my little Chinese wife and I'll start speaking Chinese. It's all good. I go into that traditional lifestyle and that'd be fine. It's just like, I don't know. It's kind of goofy because also think about what they're telling you. Get a new phone and delete this app. Okay. So the only way I can protect myself is to spend more money.
Sure.
So it's the scenario of you all have allowed this to happen. So then you got to buy your way back to safety. It's just absolutely ridiculous because we're trying to get away from the ancient adage of, money is the root of all evil. Well, it's something that it's always propagated all the time. And to think, like we need to get a new phone. Are you going to provide one, government? But that would just be totally unlocked and hackable for them to have all my info anyways. It's like,
sure,
it just doesn't make any sense. Like, get a new phone.
Well, nothing that the government does makes any sense. So,
well, I would say to a degree, it's relatively complex to make sure something like ridiculous doesn't come through the pipe like immediately. But it's also something too where that also stifles change. So it's a very precarious balance, and the whole party situation where it has to be like 49-51 all the freaking time has made it to where it'll stalemate forever. Like, then no change will happen. Then it just is a scenario where it's like, okay, each side will bitch that the other one's not letting anybody do anything, and then you'll be in that cycle forever, until we all perish. So it kind of is.
Let's see if anybody does anything that was elected, because I don't see them doing anything.
Well, remember, now that they got elected, why would they do anything? They just want to keep being elected. So it's not like they're going to actually do any changes. So until you have somebody who goes in there and their only goal is to technically not be reelected, then you're not going to see any change, right? Because they're going to get in there, get that cushy job, get their insurance, get their benefits, and then they're going to roll, man. Like,
why do you think somebody would mess with Elon Musk?
Why would they mess with him?
Yeah, I mean, the guy's got more money than whatever. And now he's taking over Twitter and he's trying to straighten it out and clean it up, and everybody's crying.
But when you say straighten it out and clean it up, I mean, I don't know what that means necessarily. It is kind of interesting that he did reinstate Trump's Twitter. That's kind of humorous. But
do you think he'll get on it?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't they? But
he said he wasn't.
I mean, and that's fine, but also too, you'll see some more covfefe tweets, and it'll just be kind of back in action. But it's also something where it's like absolute freedom of information. So if he wants to get back on it, let everybody be back on it. I mean, what are they doing? Like, unless they're an active national security threat saying, let's go and do X, Y, and Z, why does it matter? I mean...
Oh, I mean, I don't care. I don't do Twitter, so it doesn't matter to me.
Right. So, but it's the same kind of thing with like TikTok or with Facebook or whatever, where there are enough outlets out there for folks to be able to present messages to social like media websites that blocking folks off of one, it just doesn't seem like it's good enough. Like you gotta at that point, blacklist them from everything. But even then, it's not like the internet doesn't still exist. And then you could have message boards, you could have websites, you could have all this stuff that would allow for them to like maintain their message. So like it's kind of like catching smoke in your bare hands, right? Where how in the world do you actively stifle somebody from just getting a message out there, like actively communicating with the world? Because we've made it where the world is about this big right now, right? Super tiny, because everyone's connected as much as they are. I mean, I still get texts from folks I can only imagine that are in like Asia somewhere saying, "Hey, hello, how are you? What's your name?" and all this stuff. And it's like, just leave a guy alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't start talking, don't start doing this, blah, blah, blah. It's just, it's silliness. And just, leave a brother alone and just roll on. So.
Okay.
But yeah, it's,
so
I don't know.
What do you think about the housing market?
Well, that is something that's kind of been interesting. Like I've seen some price drops on like Redfin and Zillow and stuff like that. Some of the apps that I'm just kind of perusing a little bit nowadays. And you're seeing actually, decent price drops. Now, I also know the Fed is raising rates, right? So with that being said, that has to come to a head eventually, right? You can't have obscene or high interest rates for these loans on top of in like ridiculous prices for houses. So they gotta kind of start to converge and kind of meet on between the X and Y axis there, and cross paths to something that seemed a little more reasonable, right? And so you've seen, 10% difference, 15% difference, or price drops because people just can't sell the home for what it is. Now,
right.
That also is something too where they could be, and I haven't been able to prove this yet, but it could be a scenario much like everything else that ever gets price reduced, where they say, we got a price reduction, awesome. Well, we only had the house up for like a day before we reduced the price, but we put it up at $20,000 more than we should have. Then we say, oh, a price reduction of $20,000. And then you say, oh man, they had to cut it down that much. But because the whole mentality goes into, I'm getting a deal. This is $20,000 off. And it's like, no, that's not how this shit works. But they're tricking you into doing that sort of a thing. Like that whole, a really good example of the kind of like marketing kind of schemes and stuff they have with that is, I forget if it was at Sam's or Costco's or Walmart or something like that, but like you always put something at like $9.99. You don't put it at $10, right? Or actually the one that people will purchase the most, which I think this was at Sam's Club, was at the ending numbers are 88 for whatever reason. Like statistically, they're going to pick a number that has a cents amount of 88 cents. And it's actually kind of wild, like how the psychology of that shit works. But they'll put so much money and effort into making it so you feel like you're getting a better deal than you actually are. It's obscene to me. It blows my mind about how far in depth they'll go in order to actually make the most profit, still do what they got to do, like put in the least amount of work, etc. Some people, like I have a guy at work who loves that. Like if you noticed on things that you've purchased recently, you get less and you have to pay more. Well, he loves the efficiency of that sort of a thing, figuring out what is the least amount I can do for the maximum amount of value. Now, granted, I love efficiency. I love like the concept of that. But when it works on consumers, i.e. you got a smaller bag of chips, you got a smaller box of cereal and shit like that, and then you have inflation just coming up and crisscrossing the streams there, everything just costs more and you get less. And it blows my mind because you would think that things would get better and cheaper and more efficient in a good way, but instead they maximize profits with that information and those efforts, and then bam, there you go. So,
you probably don't remember when I sold cars in 1996 at Jim Reed Chevrolet. downtown Nashville on Broadway,
Mm-hmm.
all the prices of our vehicles ended in 88.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, all of them. 5488 or 14988
Right.
or whatever it was, it all of them ended in 88. And I never did ever figure one. I never wondered why, but I just figured it was a thing that they did,
Yeah.
just
So psychologically, whatever it is, we'll see 99 or 88, and it's like that's a deal. Like that's better than 0-0. So
right.
because
right.
with 0-0, you always got to go up, right? You got to round up when you're doing that, but you can still get basically the almost full amount of that extra dollar or whatever if you put it at 88 or 99. So it's pretty wild, but yeah.
It was interesting because I worked with a guy, and he would always, we had the price marked on the car in a certain way that people couldn't figure it out and stuff.
In code.
And so
you would know what it costs, but they wouldn't. Yeah.
He added $1,000 to every price. Didn't matter what it was. If it was $12,988, if somebody asked him how much it costs, he'd say $13,988.
Yeah.
Well, in the negotiations, he, just like you said a minute ago, he could cut off that $1,000, and they thought they were getting a deal because he gave him $1,000 discount.
Yeah.
And he's back to the original price.
Right. Exactly.
So, and I watched it happen more than once where he would jack that up. And I never did. I told him, I said, I don't see how you get away with, or how you sleep at night doing that. He said, someday you'll find the larceny in your heart.
Damn, dude.
And I thought, well, he is the number one salesman here at the,
right.
wearing a $500 suit and driving a demo, and
Oh yeah.
And it's funny. I did it one time. A guy came in to buy a Chattanooga choo-choo conversion pickup truck.
Nice. With
the fender flares and the running boards and the custom paint and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I jacked the price up $1,000, and he paid the price, even jacked up $1,000.
There you
go. Paid the price. Yeah, paid full price for it because he wanted it that bad.
Right.
And I thought, wait a minute, I might be onto something here. But
well, you got a free $1,000 in your pocket, man. Like,
yeah, well, you got 30% commission.
Well, then an extra $300 or whatever, like
on the profit that they made on the sale. So, yeah, but I never did it again because I just thought, this ain't the way you do it, because this guy worked hard for his money and stuff, and you just kind of snuffed him out of an extra $1,000. That's why used car salesmen have such bad names,
I guess.
Because they do bad stuff.
Yeah, so, but that's not necessarily bad stuff. I mean, every business,
right?
And you can show me the ones who don't. A business is functioning to do what?
Make money.
Make money, and that's not even the truest thing. It's to make the most amount of money that they can, right? So
make
to
the
that
most
end,
money. Yeah,
right.
Make the most money they can.
Make the most amount of money that they possibly can. That's why you go into business. It's not to help people, and it's not to do this, and fuck you if that's the way you think, because, okay. Nope.
But I just couldn't, do it. I just couldn't do it. So,
well,
I averaged selling 10 cars a month, and had never sold a car in my life. Mm-hmm. And I averaged selling 10 a month, and that was the national average across the United States for salespeople. Was 10 a month, and I was
cool.
But the commissions weren't very, my commissions weren't very high.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't jacking the price up and stuff, and we'd cut them a deal and all that kind of stuff. So.
Why would you do cars? Like, why go into used car sales when you've done something else for so long?
Well, we live next door to Danny Owens over there on Pana, and he was a truck salesman at Jim Reed, commercial truck salesman.
Yeah.
And I got to talking to him about it one day, and he said, you'd be good at doing that. So I went down there and talked to the guys, and they said, yeah, if you do what we tell you to do, you'll be fine. And I said, well, dude, I don't know any different. I don't know any other way other than the way you tell me. So That's what I did.
Yeah, but what made you have to go and sell cars? Like,
I didn't have to.
well,
I didn't have to. I
obviously
really
did,
liked that
but-
job. I really, really liked that job.
Wonderful.
Yeah. But apparently I didn't make enough money for, you were going to be homeless
Yeah.
and not have any diapers or, any clothes or any of that kind of stuff.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we were going to all be sleeping in the cardboard box under the bridge. So
Yeah.
I went back
much.
to the restaurant business where you got the standard check every 2 weeks, and there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I myself, and I think everyone are over we're letting other folks determine our destiny sort of a deal. So, but anywho, well, I'm glad it was fun while it lasted. And hey, maybe,
it was.
Maybe you can go down there and sell cars down in Ecuador.
I've always been interested in marketing, and I took marketing in college.
Mm-hmm.
And I took psychology in college, and I was always interested in why people buy what they buy, and why they say what they say, and why they do what they do. And it was just interesting to me that the way you could market certain things and people would jump on them, or you could be a bad marketer and people, you wouldn't get any response at all. But I've just always thought that was interesting about why people bought what they bought. Of course, now I don't think there's any rhyme or reason why people buy what they buy.
Oh, no, there's a very, very big.
It's because it's cool, man. It's cool. I want the biggest TV and the badass phone, man. Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you think it's coolness or a level of
I don't
cool,
think
maybe,
anything's cool anymore, man.
So,
yeah, it's not cool down here. It's warm.
Yeah, no shit. You're right under the you were literally as close to the sun as one can be, say for
when
like
the
being on a
moon comes
mountain
out,
somewhere.
it's even warmer.
Yeah, no doubt. So,
two things you don't see down here where we live: planes and trains. There's no train tracks anywhere around here.
Well, the infrastructure,
and there's no
doesn't have
airport. There's no airport.
Right.
So you don't see, every now and then, I guess you'll see the drug plane, the little Cessna down the coastline, but no trains and no planes ever down here. And that's pretty interesting that you just, okay.
Well, yeah, but you got to think most commercial flights aren't going that way.
Well, that's true. That's true.
And if they're going to Brazil, then they'll go east. So they're not going to go south and then east, most likely. And I'm guessing you're just not on the route to Cape Canaveral or wherever the hell it is, the Cape Cod at the bottom of South America. So it's like, sorry, bro, ain't no need to get down there.
You know that we're the only country that doesn't borderline Brazil.
Probably why you don't see a whole lot of planes then.
Ecuador is the only country that doesn't border Brazil
in South America.
In South America, yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
That's your fun fact of the day, folks.
That's right. That's right. They're starting to put the Title 42 back into place for the Venezuelan people, and now they're all up in arms about that because they're sitting on one side. If you look at a news feed, you look at one side of the river, and the Venezuelan people are over there shaking their fists, going, "We're coming, we're coming, we're coming," and the Americans are over there going, "No, you're not. No, you're not coming over."
What's Title 42?
Because Title 42 makes you remain in Mexico while your paperwork's being processed.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, yeah. So just go ahead and pitch a tent and wait your turn. So, oh, yeah. Yeah, so they're all pissed off about that because they just can't stroll on over. So.
Okay, then.
Yeah, they've told Mayorkas, the director of Homeland Security, to either resign or be fired at the end of the year. Because when the new Congress comes in, we're either going to fire you or we're going to impeach you and kick you out. So might as well save us the trouble. Because you haven't done anything. You've lied to the American people and said the border was secure. Well, that's a lie. It's a lie. Everything they say is a lie. Everything's been a lie from the beginning. So we'll see if they pull it off like they say they're going to. That'll be interesting to see if they do anything they say that they're going to. because Joe has really screwed things up here, man. He's really screwed things up. And I think they might get a little closer and a little closer and a little closer to the big man and all the millions that he's gotten from China and Ukraine and Russia through his son Hunter.
So what in the world are they going to do with the GOP-controlled House of Representatives? And then you got the U.S. Senate's got 49 seats. Like, nothing's going to be able to be done, man. Like,
some things don't have to go through the Senate
or the House. Like,
no, the House can do bills and measures and
gotcha.
agreements and laws and things and adjust things without it going through the Senate. They don't have to have the Senate approval on everything.
That's interesting, man.
So,
like, you got 220 in GOP and then 212 in Dems, like that.
Oh yeah,
you got the majority by a couple seats in terms of GOP.
That's all they needed. And it's funny because they still hadn't certified the election in Arizona for governor.
Oh, for governor? Okay, that's
for fair. Governor. They still hadn't certified that election.
I see. Wait, governor, it's Katie Hobbs, 50.3%.
Yeah, okay.
Won by 17,000 votes.
Okay. They're still recounting them, and they haven't certified that election. So we'll see how it comes out. Because Carrie Lake's not conceding. She knows it. She knows they're criminals, and she knows they've gone through a bunch of shit. So she's not gonna.
Gotcha.
She's not gonna let them pull it off. And several other people are not gonna let them pull it off. So it'll be interesting to see in the next month or so. By the end of the year, they should have it figured out.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what happens in old Georgia. So Mr. Warnock and Mr. Walker, that'll be something else when you got the runoff and there won't be that independent vote. But in the end, Warnock had it up by 30-something thousand votes. But then again, you don't know where the independent vote's going to go after
December the 6th.
So yeah, December 6th.
That runoff is December the 6th.
Yeah, so you got some stuff to look forward to and whatnot. So my speaking about December 6th and just kind of Herschel Walker, makes me think about football and stuff. And I am last place in my work fantasy football. I am 1 in 9 or something like that, or 1 in 10, just because I do not have the least amount of points out of everybody, which is very frustrating. It just means I'm just getting very unlucky. And I am first place or second place in my family one that we're doing with the Carr family. So it's just bananas how interesting a juxtaposition of that is, being first or second in one and absolute last in the other. And I'm just like, none of this makes any fucking sense. So
I think it's great that the Titans did not release the offensive coordinator for being arrested for suspicion of DUI.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, like what does that even mean? Like
people mess
DUI,
up. They mess up. So give the guy a break, man. You give everybody else a break. You give the guy that pushed somebody in front of the subway a break. So why don't you give this guy a break? Well, apparently that's what they're doing. They're giving him a break and going to let him continue to work. And I think that's great.
Wow.
And I'm not and I ain't a Titan fan, but I think that's pretty admirable that they keep him on and just keep motoring along like everything is everything.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I don't think they want to mess up their mojo that they got going on.
I think that is it. It's not that they want to be benevolent and all this shit. They're like, oh, well, fuck, if we get rid of him, then, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
we got some issues
it makes
there.
sense. But if you keep him on, man.
Yeah.
You still got at least a half a dozen, probably more games to play. And then the Super Bowl and the playoffs. The Titans aren't they number one in the AFC East or something like that?
Could be. They got a pretty good record right now, that's for sure.
Right.
So.
There were some crazy games over the past weekend, only because I know Bo and Bob bet like a quarter a game. So.
Well, bully to them.
Yeah. What team is it that always plays on Thanksgiving Day?
Detroit Lions, Dallas Cowboys, Green Bay, and somebody else.
Okay. Just checking.
I was going to say, are you testing me?
No, last time we did a Family Feud, that was one of the questions.
Oh, okay.
Which teams play football on Thanksgiving Day?
Okay. Well,
Every year.
Yeah.
Wasn't just a sporadic.
Right.
It was
right.
every year.
Well, who did I miss? Because there's got to be 4 teams in.
Oh, I don't know. Only one I was looking for was a Dallas and Detroit game. I don't care who else plays.
Perfect. It does look like the Titans AFC South they're 7-3. They're doing pretty well. Hilariously enough, the Dolphins are also 7-3 too, which is kind of funny. And then the Bills need to keep doing well because I got several of them on my fantasy team, so I need to step it in gear. You know what I'm saying? And the Eagles are 9-1. What in the world's happening?
Yeah. Somebody was 9-1 the other day and got smoked, and now they're 8-2. I don't remember who it was, but
I was going to say it could have been the Vikings or the Chiefs because those are the only 2 teams who could have been
the Vikings. It was the Vikings.
Yeah, so
they were 9-1 and got smoked, and now they're 8-2 or something. That's what I mean about them crazy games.
Yeah,
somebody beat somebody 40-3 or something ridiculous too.
Well,
so
there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting tomorrow, kind of dating the episode a little bit, but tomorrow will be interesting, getting to drive, and this will be the first holiday season without my compatriot. So we'll see how that goes and see how quote-unquote tough it is and whatnot, and, just got to keep rolling. So
your Aunt Paula's birthday's tomorrow.
Hey, there you go. Make sure to send her a text. We're actually heading up there, a little bit of family stuff. We're heading up to my uncle's on the 3rd of December or something like that. We're all going to be up there, and it's hilarious because, I'm thinking Mom's just going to get, she's like, we're all going to get trashed and sing karaoke. And I'm like, let's go. It's going to just be silliness. So I can't wait to sing a bunch of really sad country songs and be really drunk doing it. So that'll be very exciting. And just kind of, messing around, chilling, and just kind of peddling. So trying to, one day at a time, moving and grooving. Got some good stuff in the works. We're just kind of rolling on. So it ain't too bad. But excuse me. Yeah. So
the Friendsgiving dinner tomorrow would be very interesting.
When does that start?
2:00.
There you go.
And the turkey will come out at 5.
You actually found a turkey down there that they actually have those kind of birds?
I think they cook 2 because there's going to be 35 people.
Holy smokes!
That have confirmed they were coming. So yeah. So I'm going to. I just told Pat. I said it ain't overflowing to our place.
Yeah, it
Keep
is.
that in mind.
Yeah,
I'm going to lock the gate and take the key.
No.
So, yeah.
No, gonna be friends. Gonna be a host. Gonna be good sport. Gonna do it all.
That's right. I can have my cooler and my lawn chair and sit there with my cooler and get me a plate of food and just chill.
Yeah, there it is.
That's right. That's
Ain't
right.
nothing wrong with that. So, yeah, they brought in lunch for us at work the other yesterday. That's pretty cool. But it's funny because 5 years ago you had something where they would bring in a catering thing and they would go, for them all out, right? Like you'd have a big to do and they'd have tables brought in and chairs brought in and a big thing. And then now, you got box lunch. Find your name, asshole. Cool. Get it and get out. All right. Thanks. It's just pretty humorous. But I will say this: Honey Baked Ham have some pretty good sandwiches. Like they're actually pretty decent. So,
okay.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. But
wow.
Yep. So,
no company I ever worked for bought us lunch for Christmas or Thanksgiving or nothing. So,
well, if you work at a restaurant. No, they're probably not going to.
Oh, yeah. You work at a restaurant, don't come home hungry.
Yeah, no shit, man. I know it would get old eventually, but, it's like stick a piece of chicken up your ass and then call it a day, you know what I mean?
Don't come home hungry.
Yeah, that would just seem not feasible because what you get, would you get a manager meal every shift technically if you were a manager? Yeah, so.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't go in there and just load it up, dude. I remember when I used to get coupons, and I was the king of coupons, right? For Wendy's,
Yeah.
right? And then it would be like, let's go, just kind of be like, all right, let's go, fellas. And I remember I took like three guys out with me, and I said, here, look, just get this coupon, get this coupon, get this coupon. And they're all combos, right? Because Gina kept me loaded with those, right? I had like 4 or 5 on me at all times. And I went into Hendersonville, that was Gina's like home base store. And I go in there with my buddies and I said, yeah, screw them. We got plenty of stuff. And so we get like $50 worth of food for free. I mean, that's just kind of what it rang out to.
Wow.
Because when all your buddies get freaking triple baconators, it's like, damn. So, and this was back in the day when it was cheaper. Like it actually wasn't too terrible to go and get it. And they called Gina and was like, yeah, your boy just came in with his crew and like, cleared us out. And it's not great when we lose out on, X, Y, and Z amount of money, but it was too funny. So
I bet.
But yeah, that was.
I could see that phone call coming.
Yeah, they weren't big fans, but I was like, hey, it's all good.
Right.
So, kind of humorous though, but
yeah, holidays. I don't know. You got one grandmother left.
some say, yeah.
She's 93.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the last of the grandparents.
Yeah, definitely kind of one of those like, oh, she's still kicking around?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is she doing that?
In your city.
Well, she moved to my city because it was your city. Then you left.
That's right.
So
That's right.
So now it's her city. I don't live here.
Right. Last time I went in there, she asked me who I was.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Well, she's 93. I said, well, I told her I was Elvis Presley.
Hey, well,
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you very
and
much.
I'm sure
Thank
you swiftly left the
Thank you.
building. So
That's right.
afterwards, but it is what it is. So not too bad. But we've almost hit our hour mark there. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about there, good sir?
I'm good, man.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm just motoring along.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. We got big stuff to do tomorrow. Travel around the world, go to Hermitage, go to Fairview, come back to the house. Want to continue to function somehow. Find the will to go on. Right.
I'm going right next door.
There you go.
Coming back.
Cool. Lucky you.
Yeah.
Or booty
Thank
to
you.
you, as they say.
That's right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But yay for convenience. That's very exciting. And yeah, so hope you all out there have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday if you do celebrate it. If not, then hopefully you just have a pleasant day and pleasant rest of your week and weekend. Because we're going to roll into it hot and heavy and
long weekend.
For some, yeah, for some.
Yes, for some, yes.
There will come a time when I will say, fuck you to the powers that be and say, no, you're just not having anybody work like on these days, and you're going to be screwed because people don't act the way they should, and you can't get clients or people overseas to function the way that we want, and so. Oops, there you go. So it's just kind of silliness. But for the time being, get out there, be a team player, put on a smile, act the way we should, and then, be helpful in what ways we can. So, but like, comment, subscribe. Thank you all so very much for watching the Life in General podcast here with Tom and Jay. Happy Thanksgiving or whatever you may celebrate around this time of the year. And we will catch you all in the next episode.
See you.